daily soccer podcast with the Global Sports Podcast Network.
Welcome, one and all. Welcome, everyone around the world, to the Daily Premier League podcast. Today is the 20th of October. We've still got one game to go in game week 8, if you call it game week, which is West Ham against Brentford, which is tonight. Everyone's on the edge of the seats about that one. But it has already been an amazing weekend for thrills and spills. My name's Ken Davis. His name is Nick Britton. And unsurprisingly, we've got an awful lot to talk about. How are you doing, Nick? Have you recovered after a weekend of classic matches, of controversy and of calamity?
I think the only thing I needed to recover from was a day out in London, which involved the odd beer.
Oh, yeah. There was a lot of beer involved, wasn't there?
It was a great weekend and some great football. And as always, the hangover on Monday is not mine because of beer. It was because of all the various stories that are going on, and Liverpool being one of them, and question marks being asked, Nottingham Forest being the other key one. And what exactly is the point of appointing Sean Dyche as manager? What is the ethos behind it, and where are they hoping it might take them?
That's what we're going to kick off with today. You did well, I should say, by the way, to recover from your absolute, I don't even know what the word is, the demolition, the alcoholic demolition you underwent at the weekend, to turn up last night and actually produce a podcast of Pulitzer Prize winning punditry.
It was a great pod last night. It was a great one. And tonight will be similarly great. There's just lots of good things to talk about.
We're on a roll. Right, okay, first thing then, okay. Forest look set to appoint Sean Dyche. He was sacked in January by Everton. They seem to have cooled on Roberto Mancini.
I think it'll be the other way around.
Yeah, Mancini may have cooled on Marinakis. And I think the other option, which was Marco Silva from Fulham, one involves quite a big buyout clause. Two, he's manager of Fulham, and I know which one I'd rather be managing. That just doesn't look like it's going to get off the ground because Marinakis doesn't like paying any kind of fees for, anything. I don't imagine. Restaurant fees, probably. Yeah. So what do you make of the Sean Dyche thing?
Well, clubs appoint Sean Dyche, and I mean this with the greatest respect because he's extremely good at what he does. He's a great guy, and he's very, very, very good at what he does. But clubs appoint Sean Dyche if they want to stay up.
Yeah.
They don't appoint Sean Dyche if they want to build on getting into Europe this year and progress and finish potentially in the Europa League slots next season or the Champions League slots next season. That's not going to happen. So you have to look at the sense. I mean, in a lot of ways, it's a good appointment in terms of getting the fans back on board because he's a local lad who still lives nearby, Forest connections. It ticks a lot of the boxes in terms of, nice bloke who knows Forest and Forest know him and the fans are like him. And he'll do, no doubt, he'll keep them up. I'm sure there are worse teams in the league than Forest, and he's very, very good at that. But I just don't, if you look how far they've come, and I mean in a downward spiral in 3 months, it's quite staggering because they started the season in the Europa League on the back of an amazing season, Nuno in charge, everything looking rosy. First game took Brentford apart in the first half an hour, 45 minutes of the game, and everybody's thinking, here we go again. This is, never mind Europa League, part of Europa League, let's go to Champions League. And then, of course, he's sacked Nuno. He's taken the decision to employ somebody whose Premier League record was absolutely woeful last year and whose style is completely different to the style that Forest have got a set of players for. That doesn't work in any way, shape or form. But rather than give it time to work or try and make it work, he's just got rid of him at the earliest opportunity. And now he's bringing in somebody whose style, again, is completely different. So Forest are an absolute mess. I mean, they're an absolute
car
mess.
crash.
And
Absolutely.
This, to me, I don't no idea what Marinakis is doing. I don't know what he wants to happen for Nottingham Forest at the moment. This smacks of, even at this early stage of the season, just panicking and thinking our only job now this season is to stay up. Yeah, that's what this appointment stacks of.
Yeah, Forest have managed to go in, let's be honest, 8 weeks, not even that, 7 weeks, from being Barcelona to Burnley And it's a slight exaggeration. Burnley are better than that. But what I really mean is this. One of the things that struck me about the Dyche thing, it's an obvious appointment, but it's a terribly old-fashioned appointment, in my opinion. It's a short-term appointment. It's got no vision. It's purely keep us up. And the question you're going to ask is, yeah, great. He might just keep you up. What happens then? What happens then for the next 2 years? You ain't going to be happy with finishing 15th and 17th because that's what you're going to get. The thing that really, the penny dropped on this yesterday when I was reflecting for this podcast, because we do a little bit of homework, on the Palace-Bournemouth game I just watched on the Saturday, where you've got Glasner and Iraola going hell for leather against each other. Two teams that are not dissimilar in scale or ambition or talent than Forest. And you've got two of the sharpest, brightest, most dynamic managerial minds in the Premier League going at it hammer and tongs and producing a classic. And then you're thinking Sean Dyche and thinking that is so far away from what it needs these days in the Premier League to be a really good team. You've essentially given up if you've appointed Dyche.
He's only been appointed, or will be appointed, if trusted journalists are to be believed who have good knowledge of these things, on an 18-month contract. So until June 2027. So they're not even trying to think long term here. They're not even pretending to think long term here. It is we'll pay you money to stabilise the club and keep us in the league. And that's that's what Forest were like. 3 years ago when Nuno first came in. 3 years ago, 2 years ago, when Nuno first came in, and they were down the bottom of the Premier League. They looked like they were going to get relegated, and he came in and he stabilised them. And then, of course, they went on that amazing season last season. But this is just taking the whole thing backwards by 2 or 3 years.
Absolutely. And in the meantime, you spent a couple of £100 million in 2 seasons for each of those 2 seasons. And you're back to square one.
Plus money, by the way, to sack Nuno, plus money to sack Postecoglou. And I think that's a brilliant point you make, by the way. I know it's not often I say that, so you can clip this little bit up and just keep running it when you're going to bed. Look at Palace and their forward-thinking choice of manager. Look at Bournemouth and their forward-thinking choice of manager.
Sunderland, good example.
Sunderland. Look at Brighton.
Yeah.
Look at these clubs who are doing very well and have a settled system. Palace, despite the turbulence on the pitch, in terms of losing, some of the best players in the last year or two, they still have that real rhythm and they have that really settled something.
Lost a load of players, but still had that core of belief and system and manager that got them through that. And
Forest just seem to want to lurch from one thing to another, all of which are very opposite in terms of their style, in terms of what they want to bring. And that tells me there's no system behind any of it. A good club should have a system within it. And Brighton, I think, are a good example here, whereby if you change the actual football manager, nothing much would change. You've still got an ethos, you've still got principles, you've still got a stable base. Football managers come and go these days, much more than they used to. So you've got to be able to set up a business where if you lose one of your senior managers, another senior manager will come in without affecting everything else that goes on around it. And that's how good businesses run. Forest are the complete opposite of that. It's just an absolute car crash at the moment.
It is. I'm sure there's more to come on it. Obviously, I'll keep you updated on the Dyche appointment. And this thing about, obviously, they lost their director of football, didn't they? He went to Newcastle recently as well. There's just a lot of
Ross Wilson,
going on around Forest that is none of it good.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, Marinakis. Here's a snapshot of the man. He went to great lengths to appoint Ange Postecoglou. He went to enormous lengths to say how proud he is. 2 Greeks, Greek heritage, Greek this, Greek that. I'm in awe of him. I'm do this, I do that. This guy's amazing. This, that, and the other. On Saturday, he left the ground with around 20 minutes, half an hour to go, and got somebody else, presumably Edu, to sack him. He didn't even have the guts, the wherewithal, the manners, I don't know, call it what you like, to do it himself the day after or something like, I don't know, whenever. But to do it within 15 minutes of the end of the game and not even be there to do it yourself, and you've left the stadium, half an hour before, that to me tells you all you want to know.
Well, it's disrespectful. And he's got a reputation and he's got a track record of being disrespectful to his managers. He's disrespectful to Nuno. He's disrespectful to Ange. He's probably going to end up being disrespectful to Sean Dyche. That ain't going to end well.
If he understood football and he understood Forest, he would never have let Nuno go. He would have made an effort. He would have made an effort to build the bridges, to repair whatever had been done that Nuno felt had been done. As we know, his nose was put out of joint, we think, by Edu, and he said himself he'd stopped communicating with the chairman. Marinakis would have fixed that.
Yeah,
he would have fixed that if he'd really understood what's going on at Forest, and if he wanted to get rid of Nuno, if he felt that a change was needed, then do it in the right way, and do it. Have a proper plan in place.
There's a red flag.
Extreme in Nuno to another extreme in Postecoglou was, and then not give him any time whatsoever, literally no time to turn everything around, is very, very short-sighted.
There's a couple of things to finish off on this. There's a red flag. There was a red flag with Nuno, which you just alluded to, when he said he hadn't had any conversations with Marinakis, and a week later he sacked. When Ange was interviewed the other day, when he went on his 6-minute defence of Ange, he said, "I've not spoken to Marinakis throughout the international break." I think we know now that's a huge red flag. When that happens, when communications break down with Marinakis, you're on a one-way street. You're on a one-way street. So that was an interesting point. I know now how it's all starting to fit together in terms of you can see the signs in that 6-minute defence, if you like, that things were about to end.
Yeah, I think so. And it's a shame. I think it's a shame. I listen. It's difficult to feel too much sympathy for Ange because he did lose, 10 games in all, or didn't win rather in 10 games in all competitions. And as much as I enjoy his box office style press conferences, he seems to have a massive chip on his shoulder about everybody hating him and him being different and this, that, and the other. And I think it's probably a mistake. Hindsight's a wonderful thing, but when you go into a club like Forest that have been built very, very specifically in one way, you don't overnight try and change everything. You do things incrementally, so you're not throwing a baby out with the bathwater. And to try and change their style of play, absolutely everything overnight, doesn't really smack of great management.
No, and the figures back that up. If you look at the data and the analytics, it backs it up. It was a completely different approach. Do you think Ange will appear again in the Premier League?
No.
Don't you?
I don't think so. No, he might. No, I'd imagine he'll go abroad. So I think his reputation's shot.
Interesting.
I mean, it might be. Well, for the time being. I mean, football is a great healer, time is a great healer in football. People forget very, very quickly. So if he were to pop up in a couple of years' time, it wouldn't necessarily surprise me, and it would be hailed as the great return. But right here, right now, I think his reputation is trashed in England in the Premier League.
I think it is a bit, which is a pity because we like him. He's great box office. Just one final thing on the Forest thing, and then we'll move on.
It's also it's just that on that point, it's slightly unfair because he's one of very few Premier League managers who have won trophies.
Yeah,
there aren't that many of them.
This is true. He's always got that. I wasn't given a second season. Do you think Marinakis listens to the fans too much? And if you like, is one of these chairmen who wants to be liked? Desperately wants to be liked by the fans, wants to be adored, wants to be chaired through Nottingham, on the shoulders of the fans. Do you think ultimately he's just been a tail that the dog has wagged?
I think so, yeah. I think so. I think he sensed very quickly that the fans were turning. And I think that's had a big effect. He is somebody who wants to be loved. He is somebody who wants to be liked. He is somebody who wants to be adored. He likes people, bowing down to him and thinking he's amazing. And interestingly, Forest fans, they recognise that this has been a bit of a, what's the phrase? A bit of a disaster for them, a bit of a mess, I suppose would be the right way to put it, at least in a family show like this. But they'll still back him because ultimately, who are they going to get in that's going to spend £200 million a season? That's the thing with Forest. They're caught between a rock and a hard place. You've got a chairman who is proving to be very impulsive and proving to make wrong decisions, but he's also a chairman who puts in stacks and stacks and stacks of money. So supporters don't want to criticise him too much because ultimately you're going to kill the goose that lays the golden egg.
This is true. Very interesting way to leave that. As we know, as Sean Dyche knows, in football it pays to get your team selection right. And here at Global Sports Podcast Network, we spent a lot of time selecting our delivery partner, and we chose Zencastr. Zencastr makes it easy to bring your vision to life, share it with your audience everywhere that they are. So it's got 4K video recording, it's got easy AI editing tools and top-tier distribution, all in one place, all on one platform. So if you've got a story to tell, do like we did, tell it with Zencastr. Check the show notes for more details.
Your daily soccer podcast with the Global Sports Podcast Network.
Okie dokie. Could have been yesterday, might have been a couple of days ago. We had a bit of a rant about something that we do not like to see, which was what we consider here at Global Sports Podcast Network Towers is the emergence of anti-Semitism and the fact that certain teams are not allowed to play in certain cities. Certain cities in the UK, it seems, have become no-go zones for certain religions. Never thought I'd ever say that in my lifetime, but it seems to be the case. And what we're talking about, of course, is the decision, as we know it so far, for the game between Villa and Maccabi Tel Aviv to be cancelled. Oh, no, I shouldn't say that. Not cancelled, played, but with no Maccabi Tel Aviv fans in the stadium. Obviously, that is a despicable situation that we all find ourselves in. And there have been more developments on that story in the course of the last 24 hours in terms of certain content emerging, which maybe casts a slightly different light on this. So in our interest of actually keeping this story in the forefront of everyone's thinking, Nick, what's the latest thinking on this?
Well, the government is still working very hard behind the scenes, and there have been lots and lots of discussions over the weekend about this, and several government ministers seem to be putting quite a lot of pressure, but no clear solution about this, and no real sign of which way the wind is blowing, although it's very rare for governments, particularly senior government, i.e. prime ministers and the other senior government ministers, demand something to happen and it doesn't happen. So, however, there are kind of new bits that are being added to this story that we've previously become aware of. And I think probably the most interesting one was a story that emerged on the BBC website about Aston Villa having told their matchday stewards well ahead of this decision being made public that they didn't have to work this game, understanding that some may have concerns about what might happen. So essentially, they've given their stewards a free pass to take the game off. Now, if stewards, lots of stewards go, oh, okay, we'll do that then. Aston Villa then go to the City Council or the Safety Advisory Group and go, we haven't got enough stewards. Then that may well have influenced, we don't know, because all of these things are getting reported and nobody's confirming or denying anything. But that would have a significant effect, would it not, on Villa's ability to host the game, or more importantly, the overall ability to protect the Tel Aviv fans. Now, that's the first bit. The second bit is there's been a bit of a change of narrative of this in the last, today really, the last sort of 18 hours. And that is, it turned out that the game the weekend involving Maccabi Tel Aviv was abandoned because of essentially fireworks being thrown on the pitch and a bit of violence, this, that, and other. And the narrative seemed to have sort of changed to, oh, no, we have to protect the safety and all of that. Now, it's totally understandable if you don't want to have fans at your ground because they have a terrible reputation of causing trouble, and there's precedent on all of that. But that's not what this was about. This was about not having Tel Aviv fans at the ground because we can't protect them. The we being the police and the authorities. So it's important that we don't change that narrative to suddenly, oh yeah, we were right to ban them because look at the trouble they cause, because that's not the reason they were banned in the first place. So you've got to just sort of park that story, I think, particularly. And as I say, these talks are going on and they're going on and they're going on. I actually thought there might have been a resolution by now, because normally, as I say, when government puts a lot of pressure on. So it'll be interesting really in the next, they've got to make a decision soon. And quite what that decision will be, it's still very much in the balance, I think.
Well, it'll be a dark day if Tel Aviv supporters can't visit Birmingham and support their team. That's my opinion. I think that's Nick's opinion as well.
Yeah, I don't think we've changed from that. You cannot have areas of England or United Kingdom, whatever you want to put it. You can't have areas where people are not allowed into because of their religion or creed or faith or race. That's a step back 100 years.
It is. It's dreadful. And
we just can't have it. I don't care what needs to happen here, but these supporters need to be able to go and see this game. The latest perhaps one of the things that's come into it was cost, and essentially the government suggesting, look, get this game on whatever it takes. Now, I was listening to a senior person from a ground safety organisation that gets involved in these types of things, and they were saying it could cost well over £1 million. Now, who's going to pay for that? Because Birmingham City Council, as we all know, because it's been in the news loads, is broke, is bankrupt. Yeah, they're having to pay loads of money. There's a bin strike going on at the moment. They're having to pay loads of money, to cover all that off, 50 grand a day reportedly, and so they haven't got the money to do it. Is government going to do it? I don't know. So where's the extra cost going to come from if they're going to throw loads of police at it? But they seem to find the money to police enormous marches every week in London by the pro-Palestinian lobby. They seem to find the money to police that. So I'm not quite sure why they wouldn't find the money to police a few hundred extra Tel Aviv fans. But there we are.
Yeah, I think it's a dreadful situation. What it's definitely moving towards, there's going to be a big political row now, and it's just building and building and building. West Midlands Police seem to be supporting the decision to ban the away supporters because they can't guarantee their safety. You've got an awful lot of people ranged against the government on this. Most of the authorities, well, certainly Birmingham Authority, Aston Villa, it would seem, and West Midlands Police saying to the government, don't want to do this. And the government saying, I don't care, you don't want to do it. It's a matter of principle. We've got to do it. So it'd be interesting to see who wins this.
Yeah, do you know what? It's about time the government stood up, because you haven't got, you might say there's lots of people against it, but tell you what, they've got a whole country for it.
Yeah.
You've got a whole country back in the government. Every single football fan will look at this and go, this is wrong.
Yeah.
Because if you ban one set of fans, then you open up a precedent to do it again and again and again and again. And if you don't ever do it again, well, it's blatantly obvious what sits behind the decision, and it's got nothing to do with safety. So I think the support for the government around the country is very, very strong. The support in Birmingham, perhaps through the police, through the council, or what have you, for their own reasons, isn't. But it's good, I think. I think it's about time we had a government which showed a bit of backbone and stood up for principle and stood up for what's right and what's wrong.
Well, Keir Starmer's been pretty strong on it. Ed Miliband's been pretty strong on it. But, you can talk till you're blue in the face. You've got to make something happen. And we expect them to make something happen. It'll be a very, very black day if they don't. Right. Okay, moving on. We'll keep you across that story as it's developing, because there's actually a very interesting sports/political story, and one that we are obviously we've got a vested interest in, because we don't want to go back to the 1930s. Global Sports Podcast Network is partnered with Bioniq, the world's most personalised supplements, because your body is unique, and because without knowing what deficiencies you have, taking off-the-shelf supplements mean you're probably not getting enough of the nutrients you need. You may be getting too many of the ones you don't need. So Bioniq provide 100% tailor-made supplements designed to deliver precisely what your body needs at exactly the right level. So why don't you click the link in the show notes? You can use the code GSPN 2025. You'll get a 40% discount off your first order.
Your daily soccer podcast with the Global Sports Podcast Network.
So that's a pretty heavy subject. I've got to deal with it though, because it's an important one. But let's finish off this podcast with a quick 5 minutes on something else, which is obviously Liverpool. Is it a blip? Is it a bump? Is it a bad phase?
I'm just trying to think of another word that began with B.
A word starting with B that wasn't a swear word. But anyway, is it just a blip? But what I specifically want to talk about
is it an abomination?
It's an abomination. Is it a great big abomination? I want to look at the next 5 games of Liverpool and the next 5 games that Arsenal have, because they're quite interesting games. And there's a 4-point gap at the moment between Liverpool and Arsenal. That's a big gap. I want Nick, I want you to get your crystal ball out. And believe me, he's got a very big crystal ball. Which makes it very popular.
You know how bad I am at this. I don't even know.
I've seen the predictions.
You know how bad I am at predicting this.
But I'm going to put that to the test. I'm going to keep this. I'm going to look at it in 5 games' time. So I'm going to go through the Liverpool fixtures. I want you to give me whether it's going to be a Liverpool victory or a draw or a loss. Going to do the same with Arsenal. I'm going to see what points they're going to be on in 5 games' time. So here we go. Right, Liverpool first. Liverpool are away at Brentford. What's the result, Nick?
I think it's so hard because you just don't know what's going to... I mean, look, the game against Man United yesterday, they could have won quite comfortably. They just hit the post at the wrong times of the game.
Many times.
They still can't defend.
Gakpo. Oh, blimey.
Yeah. I mean, how long is this going to go on for? The defensive, how long is this going to go on for? I don't know. I mean, you've got to bring Andy Robertson back in a left back.
You do. We've been saying this for months.
Yeah, you've got to give Kirkus a bit of a break. He's having an absolutely torrid time of it. Yeah, Van Dijk looked a bit uncertain, but I think that was actually the way Man United set up and set up very well.
Well, it can't be easy for Van Dijk when he's got everything going around him. It was.
Yeah.
I
think at the moment, Szoboszlai's your best right back at the moment.
Yeah. Oh, does he want to play right back? And is it
so, but it doesn't matter whether he wants to play or not. If he's the best right back, then that's where he plays. And Canate, yeah, Brentford looked very good at home the other week, and they look like they can score goals.
So, what are you going for?
I'm going to go for a home win.
Palace at home. Liverpool v Palace.
That's in the cup, isn't it? Palace.
It is. Let me. Oh, therefore we're reduced
home
to 4.
Home to Villa. We're on.
Home to Villa next year.
Yeah. Now Villa are absolutely resurgent, aren't they? I haven't got much right this season, but I've got that right.
Yeah, they've turned the corner big time. 5 wins out of 5, isn't it?
As they were always going to do. If you listen to any of our podcasts during their slump, I had absolute faith they were going to do it, and that's a very difficult game for Liverpool. I think
it is.
But I'll give them a chance. I'll give them a point.
So you're going for a draw?
Yeah, draw, yeah.
All right, Man City away.
No, nothing there, I'm afraid. I think Man City, they're playing well, they're hitting form, and they've got Haaland.
And the big one, Forest at home.
Yeah, Sean Dyche. No problem with that. 3 points.
Okay. So we've got 4. We've got 4.
Four out of the next 4 games. Is that what I've got? Yeah. I mean, it might be 5. It might be 5 to get. I don't know. I think 3 of those games I'm fairly certain on, but Brentford I'm not sure because it much depends on what Brentford turn up.
It's a big call saying that they're going to lose at Brentford. Can you imagine? You lose at Brentford, they draw at home against Villa, and then you lose away at City. Slot's going to be.
I know. I only based that on the way that Brentford destroyed Manchester United, and they look really good. They played really well, but then it's if Liverpool defend like they've been defending, Brentford will score against them.
Yeah, they will.
And if they attack the way they've been attacking, Brentford will defend against them. So why not?
4 points in the next 4 games. Right, we're going to go the same thing with Arsenal. Palace at home, tough game.
Yeah, Tough game indeed, but they've got they're good at home against Palace. But yeah, it's tight. I think a point apiece.
Okay. Burnley away.
Victory.
Yeah. Sunderland away.
Victory.
Spurs at home.
Victory.
So, 10 points. So we are saying, well, I say we, I mean Nick, is saying that by the 23rd of November, Arsenal will be 10 points clear of Liverpool. 10 points clear of Liverpool.
How much of that do you disagree with? Don't say all of it like normally.
No, I don't. I think Liverpool are going to beat Brentford.
Yeah, to be fair, I don't know why I even said.
But at the same time, I think Arsenal are going to beat Palace. So I think Arsenal are going to win all them 4 games. And I think Liverpool will probably end up with 7 points. I think Arsenal will end up with 12 points, which means they're 9 points clear. It's going to be 9 or 10 points.
There and thereabouts, isn't it? Yeah,
it's going to be 9 or 10 points clear by the end of November, which is an amazing turnaround. And talking about seats getting them all, I'm telling you, I know you never believed me when I said about Dyche.
What do you mean you said about Dyche?
Not Dyche, about Ange. Nah, he's not going.
No. To be fair, no. It wasn't. I didn't believe you. I just think, and I still think, it was a ridiculous decision. I mean, it was a ridiculous decision to appoint him. But once you've appointed him, you've got to give him the time and the tools to do the job.
It was a ridiculous decision, but we're working on the basis that it was Marinakis. He makes ridiculous decisions.
Yeah,
now, I agree. I think Arne Slot is probably still going to be in his job by the start of December. I don't think. But
just don't start.
But you know, there's no smoke without fire. I'm telling you.
Listen, if Liverpool can hit a rhythm, and suddenly, and I know, you know, this is probably massive crystal ball gazing, but suddenly Salah starts scoring and Florian Wirtz starts playing well, and the moon falls out of the sky. And Haaland
breaks his leg.
Let's hope that doesn't happen. They've got good players. It's not working at the moment, fine. And I think there's lots of reasons why, and we've talked about them. But that's not to say that it won't start working. And if it does start working, they can overhaul. They can overhaul 9 points over. We've only played 8 games. There's a long way to go.
What an 8 games, though. What an 8 games it's been. All right. Well, you better stick around because I would imagine the next 8 games are just going to be as interesting. So thank you for that. Nick, thanks for your Pulitzer Prize winning punditry. Thank you. He's never actually won the Pulitzer Prize, but he's on his way. And thank you for listening. If you want to drop us an email, please do. Best place to do that is dailypremierleaguepodcast@gmail.com. We look forward to reading them. We will very soon get a chance to read them out as well. So thanks for listening. It's been my pleasure to bring this to you and Nick's. Good night, Nick, and see you at the Derby game tomorrow.
Farewell.
Your daily soccer podcast with the Global Sports Podcast Network.